Have you ever given your all to someone, placed them at the very center of your world, sacrificing things that mattered most to you, just to prove your worth in their eyes? You were always there for them, listening, sharing, loving with every piece of your heart. But in the end, what did you get? Indifference. They treated your care like it was something they were entitled to, as if you were nothing special. And now, with a heavy heart, you ask yourself, what did I do wrong? Was I not good enough? Today, I want to share something powerful, something you may not have considered before. It's the power of silence. Stop sending those messages. Stop waiting by the phone for calls you already know won't come. It's time to take a step back, quietly disappear from their life. You see, sometimes it's only after losing something precious that people truly understand its worth. Your silence will make them feel that emptiness, the irreplaceable loss of someone who gave them everything, you. But this isn't just about them. This silence is also for you. It's a chance to find your strength again, to reclaim your self-worth, to see with clarity just how valuable you truly are. And who knows, maybe this silence will be the greatest lesson they'll ever learn. So, are you ready to take that journey? Ready to use the power of silence to change your life? If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, go ahead and click subscribe and turn on notifications so you'll never miss a new video. And if today's message resonated with you, drop a 1 in the comments. If you think I can improve, leave a 2. Your feedback means the world to me. Together, let's keep growing stronger. You deserve it. Here's how it all begins when you choose silence. At first, you hope he'll notice right away, that he'll feel the emptiness and instantly regret losing you. But life doesn't usually work that way. In the early days of your silence, it might seem like nothing changes. If he's someone who didn't invest much in the relationship, he might even feel relieved. He tells himself he's free now, able to go wherever he wants, do whatever he pleases, without worrying about you. In that moment, he underestimates the power of your absence. If he's someone who's been in your life for a long time, he may be taking you for granted. He assumes you'll come back. Why wouldn't you? You've always been there. In his mind, your silence is temporary, and he's still in control. He doesn't realize, yet, the deeper meaning behind your absence. And on your side, the silence hurts. You're fighting through every painful moment. Choosing silence isn't just about stopping texts or calls. It's about resisting every urge to reach out. You want to remind him of the good times. You want to say something, anything, that might make him come back. You even ask yourself, is this silence really worth it? But hear me out. Just because he hasn't reacted doesn't mean he isn't feeling anything. Your silence is like a quiet storm slowly gaining strength. At first, the winds are still, but that calm, it won't last forever. If he's someone new, he might spend those first days enjoying himself, going out with friends, meeting new people, maybe even dating. For a while, he might think he's perfectly fine, but eventually the storm will catch up to him. He'll try to convince himself there are plenty of people out there. Yet, with every new encounter, a subtle emptiness will creep in. He may not realize it right away, but that void, it's the beginning of regret. If he's someone who's been in your life for years, he might be sitting at home, scrolling through his phone. At first, he barely notices that your messages have stopped. He tells himself there's still time to reach out, time to fix things. But gradually, a shift begins. It's like a pebble in his shoe. At first, just a minor annoyance, but as time passes, that pebble becomes a heavy stone, weighing down every step he takes. And you're in your own battle. You want to reach out, to break the silence, to seek reassurance. You wonder if he even thinks about you anymore. It's painful, no doubt. But in that pain, there is strength. Each time you resist the urge to contact him, you're growing stronger. You're giving him space to feel the void you've left behind, even if, right now, it's only a vague sensation. Silence is like planting a seed in dry soil. On the surface, there's nothing to see, but underground, roots are quietly spreading. That's when your absence begins to anchor in his mind, even if he doesn't realize it yet. This is a journey he'll have to take, a journey of realization. And you don't have to say a single word. Your silence is already doing the work. Every time you resist the temptation to reach out, you're sending a message that says, I'm not someone you can take for granted. Over time, your absence will become impossible to ignore, no matter how much he tries to. When things get tough and you feel like breaking the silence, hold on to these words. My silence is my strength. Let those words shield you from doubt and fear. Pleading or begging only gives him control over your emotions. Silence is how you reclaim your power. It forces him to confront the consequences of his choices. You don't have to prove your worth to him anymore. Your silence will speak for you. Remember, this is your journey to reclaim your power. Silence is the message that says, I won't be overlooked forever. And as time passes, that silence will echo louder than any words ever could. Step 2. At first, it's no big deal. As the days of silence pass, he starts to notice something. At first, it's subtle, almost invisible. Life goes on. He distracts himself, hanging out with friends, trying to keep busy. But slowly, an undeniable shift begins to creep in. It's like stepping into a familiar room, except now it feels just a little colder. He doesn't understand it yet, but he senses it. Your absence. Something that once felt natural is missing. If he's someone new to your life, he might brush it off at first. To him, you were just a fleeting connection, easy to forget, easy to replace. But in those quiet moments, when the world slows down and the distractions fade, he feels it. A hollow space where you used to be. Maybe it's the way you sent him those simple good morning texts, or how you noticed the little details about him that no one else cared to see. All those small things he once dismissed as insignificant, they're now glaringly absent. For someone who's known you longer, the realization hits even harder. He thought he knew you, thought you'd always be there, no matter what. But now the void you left behind unsettles him. He checks his phone, half hoping to see your name, just one message. But there's nothing, only silence. The urge to reach out gnaws at him, almost instinctively. Yet when he tries, there's no response, just that same emptiness echoing back at him. In these moments of stillness, something begins to shift within him. Slowly but surely he realizes, this change isn't small. Your absence has left a mark, one that can't be ignored anymore. Step 3, the shadow of silence. This stage of the journey is one of the hardest for you. Doubts creep in, whispering questions that weigh heavily on your heart. Does he even notice I'm gone? Is my silence making any difference, or has he already moved on without a second thought? These thoughts can leave you feeling frustrated and disheartened. Every day you wrestle with the urge to break the silence, to reach out and ease the ache. But here's the truth. The impact of silence is rarely loud or immediate. It's more like a quiet, chilling breeze slipping into his life. A shadow that slowly follows him wherever he goes. Think of your presence as a steady rhythm in his world, like a heartbeat he never noticed, until it stopped. When you disappear, there's no dramatic noise, just a subtle, missing beat. At first, it's barely noticeable, but with time, that silence grows louder in his mind. The things you used to do, your messages, thoughtful check-ins, the warmth you brought, start to resurface. He tries to push those memories away. Maybe he distracts himself by texting others or throwing himself into plans and activities. On the surface, his life looks fine, but deep down, your silence lingers, like an invisible weight pressing on his soul. It's a quiet reminder of what's been lost. If he's someone new in your life, this realization comes slowly but surely. He begins to understand that you're not someone who can be easily replaced. No matter who he meets or spends time with, they don't bring the same connection, the same warmth that you once did. It's like trying to replace a favorite song. The new one might have a similar melody, but it just doesn't feel the same. For someone who's been with you longer, the realization cuts even deeper. Your silence isn't just an absence anymore. It's a presence of its own, a reminder that he's lost something essential. In every quiet moment, he's forced to confront the truth he doesn't want to admit. He hasn't just let go of anyone. He's lost someone irreplaceable. Step 4. The silent realization. He once believed you'd always be there. No matter what he did or didn't do, he was convinced you would never leave. But now, as the days pass without a single word from you, a shift begins. Doubt creeps in. Maybe he was wrong. Maybe he overestimated the control he thought he had over you. This realization comes quietly, but it stings. It wounds his pride, forcing him to confront a truth he never expected. You're no longer standing still. You're no longer waiting. But for you, this stage isn't just about making him feel your absence. It's about reclaiming your strength. It's about letting go. Each time you resist the urge to reach out, you're sending a powerful message. Not to him, but to yourself. You're saying, I choose me. You're choosing your worth over clinging to someone who once failed to see it. Silence doesn't deliver instant results. It's like planting a seed. You won't see the roots forming beneath the surface right away. But with each passing day, the void you left behind begins to shape his perspective. His once solid confidence is slowly replaced by questions. His certainty starts to fracture under the weight of doubt. And as this unfolds, you're learning something priceless. You are not someone who simply fills the empty spaces in another person's life. You are worthy of respect. You deserve to be seen, valued, and loved for exactly who you are. When the silence feels heavy, when those doubts try to creep back in, remind yourself, my silence is my power. Every quiet moment is a declaration, a reminder that your worth does not depend on his attention or validation. You're gradually reclaiming the energy you once gave away too freely. It's not an easy journey, but with each passing day, you're growing stronger. And with time, he will feel it more and more. One day, almost without realizing it, he'll find himself checking his phone more often, waiting, hoping to see your name light up his screen. But all he'll find is silence. And that silence will force him to confront the greatest loss he's ever experienced. Step 5. The strange new habit. As more days go by without a word from you, something unexpected happens. He develops a strange, almost unconscious habit, checking up on you. He doesn't always notice he's doing it at first. His fingers hover over your name in his contacts, hesitating to text or call. Sometimes he'll even open your chat, stare at the empty screen, and close it again without typing a word. Then come the quiet, secret visits to your social media. He scrolls through your profile, hoping to see something, anything. Maybe a new post, a story, a small update. At first, this urge feels trivial, harmless even, but slowly it becomes a quiet routine. He tells himself it's just curiosity, nothing serious. Yet deep down, he's searching for signs that you're still there, that maybe you still think of him, but your silence gives him nothing, no updates, no clues, just an unsettling void that deepens his curiosity and leaves him with more questions than answers. If he's someone new in your life, He probably believed moving on would be easy. He thought he wouldn't even have to look back. But now, as your silence stretches out, those unspoken questions begin to gnaw at him. Who are you spending time with? Is someone else catching your attention? He checks your online activity more often than he cares to admit, hoping to find something. Anything. Clues that might put his mind at ease. Yet all he finds is more silence. A silence that stirs emotions he can no longer suppress. For someone who's been in your life longer, the emptiness hits even harder. He was used to always knowing what you were up to. Your daily messages, updates and conversations kept him connected to your world. But now, all those ties are severed. He feels adrift, like a stranger peering into a life that no longer welcomes him. That growing sense of disconnection becomes unbearable. He's forced to confront a truth that's both painful and undeniable. You're no longer the familiar, ever-present part of his life he once took for granted. Step 6. The wall of silence. He wants to know if you're still the same, still there, still someone he can rely on in his own way. But every time he checks and finds nothing, it's like slamming into a wall of silence he can't break through. That silence unsettles him. It's the complete opposite of the certainty he once felt. The certainty that you'd always be there. Meanwhile, for you, this stage is about staying strong. The temptation to check on him lingers. You might feel curious, wondering what he's doing, who he's spending time with. But instead of giving in, you choose calm, you choose control. You embrace the power of distance, knowing that while he's searching for you, you're letting go. You're no longer the one seeking answers. Now, it's his turn to grapple with all the questions left unanswered. Each time he checks on you and finds nothing, the message is clear. You're moving forward, one step, one day at a time. He might try to dismiss his behavior as meaningless curiosity, but deep down, he knows it's more than that. It's like an itch he can't scratch, a discomfort that refuses to be ignored. Every time he scrolls past your name or pauses on your profile, he's reminded that he's the one stuck with questions. Did I make a mistake? He looks for something familiar, longing for the comfort he once took for granted. But all he finds is emptiness, a reflection of the distance he created when he let you go. This is where your power lies. You are no longer the one questioning or searching. You don't need to check in on him to prove your worth. You choose peace. You stand firm in your silence, letting him feel the weight of his own actions. With each passing moment, you reclaim the energy you once gave away too freely. You're no longer waiting, you're healing. And if doubts creep in, if you start wondering whether he still cares, remind yourself, my silence is my strength. Every second you hold on to that strength, you're not just affirming your value, you're taking back control of your life. Your silence will echo in his mind, a constant reminder that you are not someone to be taken for granted. Step 7. Remember, my silence is my strength. Every moment he spends checking up on you, wondering, questioning, is a reminder that you are no longer an open book he can read whenever he pleases. You're no longer standing still, waiting for him to finally recognize your worth. You are moving forward, leaving him to piece together the fragments of the void your silence has created. This quiet but persistent habit of checking is significant. For the first time, he's forced to confront the reality he tried to ignore. What he once took for granted is now gone. Your silence weaves its way into his thoughts, becoming a gentle but unrelenting reminder. The moments he spends hovering over your name, glancing at your profile, or waiting for a sign from you, leave him feeling an unexpected emptiness, one he never imagined he would feel. For you, this stage is both a challenge and a gift. It's not just about keeping your silence, It's about what that silence gives you, the chance to reaffirm your inner strength. You're allowing him to fully experience the void he created with his own choices. As time passes, a new sensation begins to creep into his mind. It's subtle at first, like a small pebble in his shoe. Not overwhelming, but impossible to ignore. This mild but persistent discomfort quietly gnaws at him every day. He can't quite put his finger on it, but something feels off. It's the first time he truly feels it, the absence of you. No matter how hard he tries to carry on, telling himself he's perfectly fine, the difference in his life becomes undeniable. The silence he once thought was peaceful now makes him restless and uneasy. He doesn't understand why. After all, he once believed he didn't need you, that losing you wouldn't matter. But now, each moment without hearing from you is like the ticking of a clock in an empty room. Quiet at first, but steadily growing louder. The ticking haunts him, and he can't figure out how to make it stop. If he's someone new in your life, he might have assumed that separation would be easy. He believed everything would go back to normal, that he would feel perfectly at ease without you in his world. But reality is rarely that simple. Your silence has become a mirror, reflecting a loss he can't outrun. It follows him, lingering in the quiet spaces he once ignored. And now, for the first time, he begins to understand the truth. The void you left is something no distraction can fill. Step 8. He's paying attention. Now he begins to realize that the strange discomfort he's feeling isn't going anywhere. It follows him everywhere, at work, with friends, even in the quiet moments before sleep. It's no longer something he can easily brush off. This feeling is a persistent reminder that maybe, just maybe, he underestimated the impact you had on his life. Regret starts creeping in, subtle at first, but growing steadily, no matter how hard he tries to ignore it. For someone who once shared a deeper connection with you, this discomfort cuts even deeper. He thought he could keep you at a distance without affecting the relationship. He believed you'd always be there, ready to reconnect whenever it suited him. But now that certainty has crumbled. He feels the quiet yet heavy realization that he's no longer in control. With each passing day of silence, his confidence erodes, replaced by an unsettling sense of insecurity. Meanwhile, for you, this stage is empowering. You start to notice the cracks forming in the wall of self-assurance he once had. But this time, it's not your responsibility to hold things together. The discomfort he feels is a sign that he's finally learning an important lesson. He can't just pick you up and put you down whenever it's convenient. Your silence has become a victory. It's a testament to the inner strength and self-respect you've been building. You're no longer waiting around for scraps of his attention. You're proving that you deserve to be valued, not for what you give to someone else, but simply because of who you are. You are no longer living for his approval. If you ever feel tempted to break the silence to ease the discomfort he's facing, remind yourself, "My silence is my strength." Let that affirmation serve as a promise to yourself, a powerful reminder of your worth. Each time you choose silence, you're reinforcing the truth he failed to see. This isn't just about letting go of him. It's about honoring yourself. It's about reclaiming your power and showing that you will not be a convenience for anyone's comfort. You are a queen, a woman who knows her worth and refuses to settle for less. As you continue moving forward, he will start searching for you in the smallest moments. The habits, the words, the care you once gave, things he barely noticed before, will now become the things he longs for most. And that's when the realization will truly hit him. Losing you isn't something he can easily move on from, no matter how much he once believed otherwise. Step 9. He's searching for you. Now the silence has fully taken root in his life. It weaves its way through the smallest moments, moments he can't escape. It lingers in his daily routine, subtle yet powerful reminders of you. He may not fully admit it to himself, but he starts seeing traces of you everywhere. When he visits his favorite cafe, he remembers how you always knew his order without needing to ask. A familiar song suddenly plays, pulling him back into memories you shared. The lyrics, the melody, it all hits him with a wave of bittersweet nostalgia. These small, unexpected moments keep bringing you back into his thoughts, uninvited, yet impossible to shake off. If he was someone new in your life, he never imagined you'd leave such a lasting impression. He thought you would fade from his mind, easily forgotten. He assumed moving on would be simple. But now, he realizes you gave him something irreplaceable. Those little reminders become echoes from the past, silent reflections of what he let slip through his fingers. Each day, the truth becomes clearer. No one else can fill the spaces you left behind. For someone who's been with you longer, the realization cuts even deeper. He begins to feel the full weight of his loss, the warmth, comfort and understanding that you gave so effortlessly. Those things aren't as easily replaceable as he once believed. And now, each time something reminds him of you, a sharp pang resurfaces. It's a painful reminder of how easily he dismissed a connection that he now knows he can't recover. But for you, this moment is empowering. You no longer need to reach out, no longer have to maintain your presence in his life with small gestures, the ones he once took for granted. Now, you're letting him experience life without the care and affection you gave so freely. He's left with only fragmented memories of you, scattered in places where you no longer exist. Each small reminder in his life is proof of the impact you made. It's evidence of how unique and irreplaceable your presence truly was. So, hold on to this truth. Your silence is your strength. You are reaffirming your worth by letting time itself reveal that truth in the most undeniable way. Step 10. Disappointment with new connections. Every moment he spends searching for you pulls him deeper into the undeniable truth. He's lost you. Each moment becomes a painful reminder of what's missing in his life, a reality he can no longer push aside. Let him continue searching, because with every attempt, he's edging closer to a harsh realization. The next phase for him is disillusionment with new connections. He begins feeling your absence in ways he never expected. In an effort to fill the void you left, he turns to others, hoping to find someone who can replace you. He meets new people, maybe even starts dating again, convincing himself this will help him move on. But soon, the truth hits him. No one compares to you. No one truly understands him the way you did. Conversations with others feel shallow, lacking the depth, warmth, and comfort he once had with you. He grows frustrated. The effortless connection he had with you isn't something he can recreate. It dawns on him that what you shared was unique, a rare bond that's not easily replaced. If he was a newer presence in your life, he might have assumed that moving forward would be simple. He believed someone just like you was waiting around the corner. But now, as each new encounter leaves him feeling disappointed, he realizes that isn't the case. Everyone he meets seems to lack something, a spark, a feeling he can't quite define. Maybe it's the way they smile, the way they listen, or how they respond to his stories. Nothing feels as genuine as the moments he shared with you. He's learning a hard truth. The connection he had with you was one of a kind. For someone who had been in your life longer, the disappointment cuts even deeper. He once thought he could have it both ways, meet new people while still keeping you in the background, always available. But now, he's confronted by reality. These new relationships don't offer the loyalty, understanding and depth that you gave so freely. He's surrounded by people who don't truly see him the way you did. This frustration builds slowly but steadily, and it's in these moments that your silence becomes more powerful than ever. With each failed connection, each superficial conversation, each empty encounter, he's reminded of the irreplaceable presence he lost. While he's busy searching for glimpses of you in others, you are standing tall, moving forward and proving that you cannot be easily replaced. Hold on to your affirmation, "My silence is my strength." Every time you choose to remain silent, you send a powerful message. You deserve to be valued. You will no longer depend on his recognition to affirm your worth. And with every forced smile, every hollow conversation he experiences, he will feel the growing, unshakable weight of what he let slip away. Step 11. The inevitable regret. He's finally reached the moment he never thought would come, the moment of inevitable regret. After days, weeks, or even months of silence, the emptiness you left behind has become an unbearable weight. It's no longer just a void he can escape by distracting himself. It's a suffocating wall closing in around him, forcing him to confront the harsh truth. He was the one who pushed you away. Memories begin to flood his mind like relentless waves, washing away his pride and arrogance. He remembers your smile, the way you listened without judgment, the warmth and understanding you gave so effortlessly. He recalls the quiet moments when you stood by him, offering your support and encouragement without expecting anything in return. All those little things he once took for granted, they've now become the very things he yearns for the most. He begins to realize that his life was quietly built around your presence, that without you, everything feels unsteady and incomplete. This regret isn't fleeting. It's a deep, heavy awareness that embeds itself in his thoughts. He's haunted by questions. What could I have done differently? Why did I let her go? Every decision, every careless word or action that led to your silence is now painfully clear to him. He finally understands that he didn't just lose a romantic partner. He lost a confidant, someone who truly saw him, understood him, and stood by him even when he didn't deserve it. Someone who believed in him when he didn't believe in himself. In his loneliness and remorse, he does something he never imagined he'd have to do. He reaches out. He sends a message or makes a call. It might be a heartfelt apology, a belated confession, or a simple but heavy "I miss you." As he types those words, he feels the sting of wounded pride. The bitterness of humility spreads within him. But his regret has become too heavy to carry alone. He hopes, desperately, that you will respond. But here's what's different now. You hold the power. You're no longer the person waiting, hoping for him to finally recognize your worth. You've already seen it for yourself. You're no longer in a vulnerable position, craving his attention, his pity, or his validation. You've chosen something greater, yourself. You've chosen strength. You've chosen silence. And you've allowed him to fully feel the emptiness he created. You've grown stronger, wiser, and more deeply grounded in your self-worth. And now, he's the one left behind. He waits on the other end of that message or call, anxious for a response, paralyzed by the silence he once thought he could handle. This isn't just about filling a void anymore. He's searching for what he lost, a treasure he now knows he may never find again. Step 12. Remember your strength. The awareness of his loss now eats away at him, piece by piece. He knows he didn't just lose a fleeting connection, he lost you. A woman who stood by him, who gave him her heart, her care, and her unconditional love. Now he's forced to confront a painful truth. You may have moved on, you may no longer be there to respond, but for you, this is the moment to reflect on all the strength you've reclaimed. You no longer need to reply to his message out of pity, loneliness, or fear of what might happen if you don't. The choice is yours now. A choice rooted in self-respect, grounded in the deep understanding that you deserve more than shallow affection or late apologies. Remember this: when that message arrives, when he finally reaches out in hopes of forgiveness, affirm to yourself, "My silence is my strength." Your power doesn't lie in quickly forgiving him or slipping back into old patterns. It lies in the self-worth you've rebuilt during his absence. His regret is not your responsibility to ease. It's a burden he must carry on his own. Yes, he now understands exactly what he lost, but that doesn't automatically grant him the right to re-enter your life. If you choose to respond, do so from a place of strength and self-confidence, knowing you have full control over your life. And if you choose not to respond, letting him remain in the silence he once ignored, let that choice reflect the journey you've endured and overcome. No matter what you decide, remember this: you've already won. His regret is his lesson to learn, not your problem to fix. You stood your ground. You endured the pain. You proved that you are stronger than the hurt he left behind. Let him sit with the emptiness he created through his choices. Hold on to this truth. Your silence is your strength. It is clarity. It's a powerful reminder that you don't need to chase anyone to feel whole. You've become stronger, more resilient, and more independent than ever before. And he is only now beginning to understand the full depth of what he lost. So, hold your head high, Queen. You chose yourself. You've endured the hardest parts of this journey and reclaimed your inner power. If you've stayed with me throughout this journey, here's the final message to wrap it all up. You hold the power. Your silence, your decision to prioritize yourself, is what makes him fully realize the gravity of his loss. But more importantly, you didn't just impact him. You gave yourself the most precious gift: self-respect, independence, and the strength to rise again. This journey hasn't been easy, but every step you've taken has brought you closer to the strongest, most confident, and most enlightened version of yourself. In my opinion, silence is the most powerful affirmation of the value you carry within you. You no longer need to wait for someone to notice you, to see your worth, or to offer you validation. You've discovered a strength within yourself, an inner power that no one can take away. While he is just now beginning to confront the emptiness and regret, you have already risen above it. You've endured the struggle, embraced the journey, and come out on the other side stronger, freer, and more confident than ever. You are the strongest, most empowered version of yourself. Silence. Sometimes it holds a power far greater than words. At first, he didn't realize it. There were even moments when he felt relief, believing he had freed himself from a burden. But that relief was nothing more than a fleeting illusion. As time passed, your absence became an undeniable void. Small, seemingly insignificant things, like your good morning texts or quiet acts of care, began to etch themselves deeply into his memory. Each one became a reminder of what he had lost. Meanwhile, you endured your own internal struggle. Silence was anything but easy. Every instinct screamed at you to reach out, to seek closure or connection, but you resisted, and with every moment of restraint, you grew stronger. You began to understand that your worth did not hinge on someone else's attention or validation. Each time you stood your ground, you reclaimed control over your life. As for him, the emptiness slowly consumed him. The new people he met couldn't bring the same warmth or connection you once gave. He tried to replace you, tried to fill the void, but every new relationship felt shallow, lacking the depth and comfort you provided so naturally. Eventually, he came to a painful realization. You were irreplaceable. You were the presence he had foolishly let slip away. Regret hit him hard. He missed your smile, the way you genuinely cared without expecting anything in return. The things he once took for granted now became the very things he yearned for the most. He finally understood that he had lost something precious, a vital part of his life. But this time, the choice is no longer his to make. You've reclaimed your power. You've risen stronger and more confident, moving forward on your own path. The silence that once felt heavy has now become your greatest strength. And now, it speaks louder than any words ever could. If you're listening and feel a shift within, a rising strength, I have a small request. Please like and subscribe to the Stoic Station channel. It's not just about staying connected to meaningful content like this. It's about spreading this message to others who might need a reminder of their own inner power. If you're ready to walk this path, leave a comment as your personal commitment to stay resilient in the face of life's challenges. When hardships or temptations arise, remember, calmness is the ultimate symbol of power. Remind yourself, my silence is my strength. Stay true to yourself, hold on to that determination, and let the world witness you unshakable, grounded, and powerful. Together, we'll keep moving forward, growing stronger with every passing day.